everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you a desk calendar that you can make really easily and inexpensively out of scraps, and a little acrylic picture frame that you could pick up. Like, I think this one's from Kohl's, but you could pick them up at Michael's and different places. It's just a bent piece of acrylic that has something that you can slide in very easily. It's for photographs. This one's 4x6. They come in different sizes. And then it has a bent piece on the end that sets up so you can put it on your desk for a calendar. So I'm making 12 little pages, and the person that I give it to can have the January one in, and then when it's February they can switch to the February one, the March one, and then they can look at my art for a month and then throw it away or whatever they're going to do with that page. So I started before the camera was rolling, and I already had glued down a few things. This thing on the left hand side is my little plastic box of scraps, and when I'm working I have a little torn off piece or a little something, and I just throw it in the scrap box, and weird stuff gets in there. I don't even know. There's punch outs, there's stamped things, there's little pieces of tissue, there's all kinds of stuff in there. And so that's what I'm using to do my little mini collage mixed media pieces. I have cut out the 4x6 pieces out of a mixed media paper. That's the white thing in the background, and then I'm just using a Yoo-hoo glue stick. So very minimum amount of stuff. I have a few stencils I'll probably use. The gluing down little colorful scraps, and who knows, I only did up to May so far. This was during the Art Joy of Sharing live stream show over on the Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel that Peg Robinson and I do every Thursday morning at 9:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Central. I mean, 9:30 Mountain. I'm in Mountain now. See, the thing about Arizona is we don't change time zones. So sometimes I'm Pacific, sometimes I'm Mountain. It just depends on what everyone else in the country is doing. It's pretty crazy. So I have torn some circles, cut some circles. I had a piece in the background that had these little pieces punched out of it that kind of look like windows. I have some magazine page that's been sanded with a stencil underneath it. And then I did print out, I think the site was just called printfreecalendars.com or something like that. And they had all different types of calendars. And I printed out a 2022 calendar that all came on one page. So then I can cut out the little squares and put each little, here's January, here's February, here's March, little squares on each 4x6 page. So this is something you can do to relax yourself. It's kind of like art journaling. You're just making a little composition with some scraps and maybe a little bit of paint, or I think I got out my gel sticks and my Posca pens, a little bit of ink pad to go around the outside edges. I have these print out. Those are from Gina Aaron's Etsy shop. They're words that you can print out on the little stickers, but mine is just printed on a page and I'm just cutting them out. I thought it would be nice to have some sort of like a focus for the month. So this one says just breathe. In January, to me, it's very busy. I've got a lot of things I need to get done. Actually, the end of December and the first part of January. Planning things for the upcoming year, scheduling things, making new graphics, all these type of things is very busy. And of course, the end of December is ridiculously busy. So you're trying to do all the holiday things, and then you're also trying to get ready and get a new calendar out and get stuff planned. And so January, I put just breathe, because that's what I need to do in January is breathe. Just breathe. And I used cool colors because I thought it was, still cold, still wintry. So then in February, I'm starting February now, I went towards the pinks because February has one of my favorite holidays, which is Valentine's Day. I know it's kind of a hokey holiday. I mean, it probably was something historically interesting, but now it's more about candy and romantic stuff. But I do like the concept of love, and I don't just mean romantic love. I mean, the love you have for your family, the love you have for your friends, and we don't talk about that very much. We're kind of, you know, shut off. A lot of people are shut off in that way. So I just wanted to make a little page about love. So I used some pink tissue paper, which is over the top of some. Well, one of those pieces has what's that stuff called? Sequin waste, punchinella as a stencil over the top of it. In fact, there's the punchinella that I used right there. Um, and then the other piece just had like some scraped, like when I'm painting and I don't want to waste the excess paint, I will just scrape it onto some deli paper with like a card or whatever, and that's what that other piece was. Had some pinks and some blues, and then this is a piece of packaging I think from a gel plate. So it was originally somebody's gel printed piece that got then put on packaging, and I cut it out from the packaging before I threw it away because I took all my gel plates and put them in aluminum cases that you can buy from Ranger to keep them nice. So I had the packaging that was left in there. So I cut a heart out of that and glued it down. Then I'm putting ink around the edges, outside edges of the pages and the outside edges of these little bits of calendar that I'm putting on there. And I glued that down. I did some stenciling. I have a few new 6x6 stencils because, Stencil Go is having a sale. And so I bought some more stencils because heaven knows I need more stencils, right? We all need more stencils. I find that kind of humorous. So I was playing with a couple of my new stencils during this process. I've got my gel stick out and I put a little bit of light blue. I think that light blue goes nicely with the pink, the very light pink in the background. I like the way the pink tissue paper is allowing the other layers to show through, playing with that idea of opacity versus transparent. I also have some new Posca pins that are really big and fat. And so I was using them on the first page to make dots. And then this one it's more of like a chisel tip. So I used it to make these kind of rectangular pieces. So the pink and blue together, I like the way that looks. A little bit of neutral black in there and some light pink paint. And that was it for February. As I go through the rest of the year, I might make another video. I don't know. If you think you'd like to see June through December, what I make for this calendar, let me know in the comments below. Say yes, I'd like to watch that. And if people are interested in watching the rest of the little collage thingies that I make, I will go ahead and make another video. Because it seems kind of incomplete to only go to May, but I did kind of want to give you the idea of this, and then you could make it yourself. Make this type of a gifty type of situation for someone that you love. I'm going to give this to my middle son. He's working on his doctorate, and he sits at a desk a lot, and I thought he might like something at the college that he can sit on his desk to see a little bit of color and, something to look at as he's contemplating his deep, deep thoughts about math that I don't understand at all. I wished I did, but the stuff that he's thinking about is so out of my realm of comprehension, just way out there. So, yeah, not for me. So this one started out kind of abstract, but I had this one little piece that I grabbed that is part of a gel print from one of my cactus desert stencils. It just has bits of it. And what I was going for, by the way, in March was green because St. Patrick's Day, it seems like green is the color to use in March. It's kind of ingrained in me, these holiday and seasonal colors that go through. So I grabbed a bunch of greens, but then it turned into a desert scene because it often does. So I'm tearing out little pieces to make some baby saguaro cactuses, little barrel cactuses, and a little prickly pear cactus. And so I guess probably what the scrap triggered it. The scrap of the desert stencil triggered it. But then also I was using that kind of goldish brown piece, which is one of, if you guys watched the other day, I made those leopard cards, leopard print. It's one of the gel prints from that, and it kind of has that stencil is also supposed to be rocks, and it has this kind of desert color. And I thought, yep, got to do a desert scene. Besides, the kid, he doesn't live in the desert anymore. He lives in California. Well, that's still a desert, but Northern California-ish. So he's more like a beach. So he needs to be reminded of his desert roots in the hopes that he will return someday. So I also had these yellow doilies, and I thought that would make kind of a fun sun, abstract sun idea up in the corner, and this little piece that kind of looks like sand and rocks at the bottom. And yeah, it turned out to be a little deserty scene situation. I got out some green ink and went around the edges because I like to close things in with some type of a border or layer, or just that type of stuff just makes me happy. I don't know why. Put on the march, and I got out a gel stick and kind of filled in those little white spaces with some yellowy color, just because it looked weird to have the white spaces there. And put some orange on the center of the sun to make the center a little bit more hot. And I did some detailing with a gray brush pen and blended that out with my water pen to give those cactuses a little bit more definition so you can see what they are. They're kind of abstract, but yet you can tell what they are. I was going for a completely abstract year, but they're not as abstract. Some of them are not as abstracted as others. So, whatever. This is just fun. It's sitting down and making and enjoying myself and relaxing myself as I'm going through a busy month, just like we all are. So, what word did I use for March? I can't remember. February was love, obviously. Oh, I got out a little speckle stamp and just put some speckles around with that green to kind of bring that darker green into some of the yellow areas of the composition. Fun stuff. I used to use that stamp all the time. It's so old. It's just a stamp of speckles. That's all it is. But it was so useful back in the day, I remember. Oh, imagine. Yes. The earth is starting to wake up. We're getting into April, May, and it's time to start imagining the things that are going to happen in the rest of the year. So I thought that was a good one. Now, this is a piece of Duralar, and it has what's that stuff called? Alcohol ink on it. It's plastic. It's a plastic piece. And I had it in there, and I'm like, you know what? That looks like it looks wet. It looks rainy. And I was thinking about April showers bring May flowers, that whole adage of that. And I thought, well, April is kind of a rainy month. Of course, here in Arizona, it's not April that's rainy. It's monsoon season, which is in the summer. But still, you just kind of, okay, if you're thinking about April, well, what do I think about April? So I wanted to use this watery, drippy looking piece of Duralar, and then I filled up the rest of the side because there was still a strip left with some tissue paper that has like pigment powder. I could tell that's what it was. Like Brusho or Ken Oliver or those type of pigment powders sprinkled on it, and that's gotten wet, and it has the blues and the same type of colors. So I went with that to fill out the rest of the edge, and then a new stencil there. I put some lines coming down as if rain is coming down with that stencil with some silver acrylic paint. And then I was thinking about an umbrella, rain boots, that type of idea. I had these little tissue squares, you know, probably at the dollar store. They have these packages of squares, tissue squares in all different colors. And they are for doing, like making a pinata, what's that stuff called? Uh, Things are going through my head. Decoupage, macrame, all these dumb things. Paper mache. There we go. Paper mache. That's what they're for. Give kids, some PVA glue and let them paint those on. But I was thinking about umbrella shapes. And I thought about making an umbrella and boots. As you saw, I did cut them out. And I thought, what, that's too literal. I want it to be abstract. So I ended up cutting those sheets of yellow tissue, which are now going to be very translucent because I pulled them apart so that they're just one single sheet. They kind of stick together. They come in these little stacks and they stick together. So I went ahead and made some droplets with a white Posca pen and then a little bit of gray shading with the gray Posca pen. So you're getting the idea of the rain. I got a few splatters. And then ended up using those little translucent yellow pieces as kind of an abstract element that reminds you of a yellow umbrella, yellow rain gear, but yet isn't literal in your face. That's what it's supposed to be. It just gives you the idea. So I applied those with some fluid matte medium because they are very thin tissue. And they kind of take on the shapes and colors that are underneath. You can still see the drops coming through, but I thought that turned out really pretty. So I put on the April. I forgot to put a word on, and then I ended up coming back and doing it in the next section because it did need its word. I just forgot. So the word ended up being dream, because to me that whole rainy, drippy season is kind of dreamy, and maybe you're a little sleepy. Hear the raindrops and they soothe you. Then I found that piece that I just put on there that had those shapes that I thought would have been perfect to put on this piece, but it's too late. I'd already made it. So looking for flowers now, I found a lot of bright yellow, which I think should go more into this summer, so I ended up not wanting to use that. So I found this one piece that looks like stems. Do you see how it's got those lines? Reminding me, not of flowers, but it's of stems and leaves that are underneath the flowers. So I went ahead and used that blue piece. That's a gel print that I used a foam stamp to make the pattern. And then I put the green and blue piece and the green and another piece of green underneath it, because the flowers at the bottom are green, and then you see at the top there's bright colors. So I'm going to put flowers on there because April showers bring May flowers, right? That's the whole thing. I popped on a couple other pieces that had some yellow and green stenciled on them, just to kind of break up that big blue patch because it was pretty big and blue. And then I started building my flowers. I found this one little cutout piece that was a stamped flower on some book page. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if I made it or if someone sent it to me, but it was in the box of scraps. So I grabbed it and glued that one down. And then I have this other piece that I could tell was some type of a stenciled piece. Oh, I got out some ink, of course, to do the edges like you do. And yeah, this other piece that I found in the scraps actually has half a flower on it, and it's very nice bright pink, and I thought that would be a good one to put on there. So since it only has half the flower, I let it go off the page as if it's, coming into the field of view. Put some of that blue, turquoisey blue color as speckles to bring the color that I had put around the edge into the composition. And what else? Oh, I'm just tearing circles and little, uh, what shape would you call that? Little cup shapes, I guess, and gluing those on. And I didn't have my May cut out yet, so I had to do that. And just gluing all these little bits on there to add some color in the background for my flowers. And then I'm going to use Posca pins in a minute. I guess I'm still tearing little bits. Gotta tear the bits, you know. Sorry if I just made you yawn. So gluing all those down and oranges, pinks, purples, yellows, all the bright flowers. So then comes my medium tip green Posca pen, acrylic paint pen, to draw in stems because, yeah, that really drives me crazy if flowers are floating around and they don't have stems that that make them be stuck to the ground, you know. It bugs me. Those are those weird little pet peeve things I have. Things can't float. They just don't float. So I'm drawing stems, leaves, um, you know, the bases of little of the flowers, all that type of stuff on there. Just doodling at this point. Um, the show is over and I'm talking to Peg about upcoming events and doing some stuff and this and that, and I'm just doodling as I'm finishing up this page and talking, so I'm not really even paying that close attention. I've got my fine tip black and white Posca pins out, and then I've got the medium tip colors like yellow and I don't know what other colors I used. I guess I did use a little bit of like a salmon pink and orangey colors maybe at some point. But yeah, just doodling on some flowers because April showers bring May flowers. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up. If you'd leave me a comment or a question. Tell me if you want to watch the rest of the pages as I make them, and I'll be sure to video that as I'm going along. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I know there's not a lot of people around, and people are busy in December, so I haven't been seeing lots and lots of you that I normally see. I guess you're all off Christmas shopping and baking and doing fun holiday stuff. That's why you're not here. But if you haven't subscribed, please do. So I've got the white back out and the black. I guess I drew in an orange flower. I drew in some white to make that other flower kind of like a peony. Got a few tulipy like looking things. And then that big cutout flower from the book text, adding a little bit of color to that one in the middle. So I am just about done with this page, and I will see you guys day after tomorrow, probably. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.